Prologue. Celso Flores never really believed in the afterlife, and at this moment he was glad he hadn't, otherwise he probably would have been thoroughly underwhelmed. So far, he'd spent the first few hours of his death pulled from a coffin, ferried in a car, led down a corridor, and sat in an office. An office. Waiting for something to happen. Left to uncertainly contemplate what in God's name was actually going to happen to him, never considering in his whole life that he'd have to think this far ahead. By now though, he'd run through every imaginable possibility. He'd been sitting in this room for ages now. He'd begun tapping his clacky fingers on the desk, out of some kind of nervous boredom. He didn't even know those two feelings could actually mix, but hey, there he was, nervous as hell and bored out of his skull. He returned to thinking about the one thing he actually felt like thinking about, his wife. When the life left her body, he had thought it to be the end. He'd said goodbye with a sense of finality and sadness. It would be incorrect to say he'd lost the love of his life, or his soulmate. But the two of them worked well together, and she was undoubtedly Celso's favourite person. Now that Celso understood that people's stories don't end at death, he knew there was a very real possibility that she was out there somewhere. Still, was that a realistic notion? Was it worth chasing? He hadn't been dead all that long. What if he could instead find his way back to the land of the living, to the life he had made? Would it be worth risking that chance to instead go after one person, out in that vast, open world of which he knew nothing? At that moment, the door of the office creaked open, accompanied by a voice, and Celso's attention snapped immediately toward the tall, hooded figure standing at the entrance. "Sorry for the wait, Mr. Flores," the man said, in a tone that emanated a kind of dark calm. "An apology," thought Celso. "Well, at least that's something." "I'm ready to take you now," the man said. Take me? Take me where?" Celso asked, struggling to keep his voice even. The man passed by the back of Celso's chair and ran to the window. Now, there's no need to be nervous," the man said, in a light-hearted tone that did little in the way of reassurance. Nervous? No," said Celso, somewhat stupidly. "It's just your appearance. It's, well, a little intimidating." The man looked with his big, black pair of eye sockets straight into Celso's. "Intimidating? Me? But I'm your friend. My name's Manny Calavera. I'm your new travel agent." The afterlife seemed to get less mystical with every new revelation, it seemed. Even less reason to hang around. "But I don't want a new travel agent. I want to go home," said Celso. Manny chuckled. "You can't go home, Celso. You're dead." "But you're not alone. Everybody here is just as dead as you." This didn't comfort Celso in the slightest. He wanted out. Still, his new travel agent continued. "That's why we call it the land of the dead," he said with emphatic wonderment, a true salesman. "Are you ready for your big journey?" "No!" Celso burst out, his frustration and stress coming to a head. He surprised himself with his reaction and, feeling embarrassed, consciously calmed himself. "What journey?" he decided to ask. "The 4-year journey of the soul," Calavera calmly continued in his mystical, sales-pitch tone, as though nothing had happened. "It is quite a big trip, and I can't lie to you, Celso." His expression became brooding. "It could be very, very dangerous." Celso's tension worsened. "Unless," Manny swiftly continued, "you were to take that money you were buried with and buy a better travel package from us." The salesperson's spiel continued in full force, except this time Celso found himself listening quite intently. "I mean, wouldn't you rather cross the land of the dead in your own sports car?" Calavera spread a stack of pamphlets out on the desk like a small deck of cards, dealing out Celso's potential options. Maybe try a luxury ocean cruise? Or, if you led a very good life, you may even be eligible for a ticket on the number 9 itself. Manny teased, as he stroked his fingers slowly across the picture of a train that adorned the front of one of the glossy pamphlets. It would seem this was the ace in the pack. "The number 9? Celso asked curiously. "That's our top-of-the-line express train. It shoots straight to the 9th underworld, the land of eternal rest, in 4 minutes instead of 4 years. But very few people qualify." Celso would like to think he'd lived a very good life. But doesn't everybody? He thought. He wouldn't get his hopes up. He was no Mother Teresa. But there was surely a chance he could score something that would make his life as a dead man easier. "Now, let's take a look at your records," Manny said, as he turned to his computer and began tapping away. Celso decided to kill time by looking through the number 9 pamphlet. You know, just in case he should be so lucky. And oh yes, this did look nice. Celso then heard low-pitched buzzing noises coming from the computer, and Calavera made a slightly concerned noise. "This doesn't sound good," thought Celso, grimly. He looked up. "Well, the bad news is the train appears to be just out of your reach," said Calavera, doing his best to disguise his client's woeful outcome. "But I still got a couple of tricks up my sleeve here." Celso peered over to get a look at the screen, his confidence fading rapidly despite Manny's best efforts. But suddenly... Manny hummed hopefully. "Yaha! Yes, that's the ticket. The Excelsior line!" In shiny gold letters, the word Excelsior emblazoned the side of Celso's brand new walking stick. Fantastic. He'd be crossing the land of the dead on foot. Those gold letters might as well have spelled out, "Joke's on you, pal." "Yes, she's a beauty," Calavera said optimistically. "That compass in the handle will sure come in handy too." Celso couldn't argue with that at least. "Oh, you're going to have a great trip. Wish I was going." Celso was sure he could detect a mild sarcasm in Manny's voice at this stage. "Why don't you?" Celso countered. "You could give me a lift," he said, half joking, half pleading. "Oh, I can't leave here until I've worked off a little debt to the powers that be," Calavera said, looking at his scythe, his tool of the trade. At least that was something Celso had to appreciate. He thankfully had his freedom. The trip would be slow going, but hey, he wouldn't be stuck in one place. "Community service, huh? Well, I guess some folks are worse off than me," Celso said as a cheeky parting comment. He turned to make his way down the stairs, the first steps of the longest, most uncertain journey he'd ever have. "Oh, I'll be leaving here soon enough," shouted Manny cheerfully. "No thanks to dead and no commission low-life cases like yours, Menso," he concluded quietly as he made his way back inside. Ding! Rang the elevator as it arrived on the floor of Manny's office. Ava, the boss's secretary, was sitting dead ahead, filing the tips of her fingers. This was presumably out of habit from her days as a living woman, Manny guessed, since he knew for a fact she didn't have fingernails. "Hey Manny," she called out to get his attention, her way of greeting. "The boss told me to tell you not to leave early tonight. He wants to talk to you about something when he gets back from his trip." Typical Dawn, thought Manny. "Tell Dawn not to worry," Manny responded hopelessly as he dragged his scythe down the corridor. "I'm not going anywhere." "Especially not with clients like that," Manny finished when he was inside his office and out of earshot. He made his way over to his file cabinets, removed his cloak and pneumatic stilts, tossing them into the empty column of cabinets labelled Premium Clients, now repurposed as a closet. "Where do they get these guys?" he said to himself, frustrated. "They don't qualify for anything good, so I can't sell anything good. Can't work off my time and I'm stuck. Stuck selling walking sticks to a bunch of burros for eternity." He was tired of this cycle. What happened to those days when he was flying high at the DoD? He was on top of his game, making commission after commission, watching his service time tick away so quick it was exciting. What changed? Was it him? Was it his form? His attitude? Hell no, he thought. It was the clients. Seriously, When was the last time he actually had someone good to work with? I need better clients, he said out loud. I need a real saint. I need a lead on a rich, dead saint. At that very moment, seemingly in response, the notification flag on his message tube flicked up.